on important bills have been brushed aside. Legislation are pushed through without discussion and bypassing scrutiny by parliamentary standing committees. The central government's agencies have been deployed to destabilize state governments through false cases, threats of investigations, and arrests. There is scant respect for the verdict of courts, including the Supreme Court. Institutions that are the independent pillars of a democracy have been weakened or subordinated to serve the ends of the central government. While there is an appearance of a democracy, the tree of democracy has been hollowed out. The aim of these excesses is to bring the states and 140 crore people under one omnipotent and omnipresent central government. The danger ahead is centralism, as we have in some countries. Let me caution the people, if that day dawns, it will be the end of federalism. Defense and security. Contradicting the Prime Minister's statement on June 19, 2020, there is abundant evidence that Chinese troops have encroached into Indian-held territory and occupy it even today. The Chinese are furiously building defense infrastructure like roads, outposts, as well as new settlements along the border. More Chinese troops have been positioned on the India-China border. The reach of Indian patrols has been curtailed since the clashes in the Galwan Valley in June 2020. It appears that China has not yielded an inch in the numerous rounds of talks at different levels. The initial demand of the Government of India to restore the status quo ante as on May 5, 2020 has been cast aside and forgotten. Besides, the China-Pakistan axis has become stronger and the security threat has spread to every part of our border in the west, north and east. Our relations with Pakistan are more fraught than ever before. Parliament is in the dark about the actual situation and has not been allowed to debate the security threats to the country. Economy. The economy is growing modestly at a much reduced pace. We are compelled to raise very serious questions about raging unemployment, persistent inflation, widening inequalities, and stumbling welfare programs. The All India unemployment rate is currently 7.45%, and the labour force participation rate is about 48%. Prices are elevated and people are consuming less. The thoughtless, some would say even foolish, introduction of the rupees 2000 note, which the people shunned, and the mortifying spectacle of withdrawing the note have cast doubt on the integrity and stability of India's currency. Key economic indicators are pointing downward, and there is low confidence that the economy will reach the high growth path. The first 3 quarters of 22-23 recorded growth rates of 13.2, 6.3 and 4.4, a declining trend. The present situation is a far cry from the average of 9% growth that marked the boom years between 2004 and 2009. Social conflict and divisions. None believes that under the NDA government, India lives up to the lofty constitutional objectives of liberty, equality and fraternity. Social strife, communal conflict, intolerance, hate, fear and deep divisions among the people mar our lives every day. Freedom of speech and expression of citizens has been severely curbed through intimidation and slapping false cases. The BJP and or its affiliated organizations have fueled these trends with hyper-nationalism, vigilantism, religious intolerance, vandalism, hate speeches, and extrajudicial actions. Bulldozer justice has replaced natural justice. We are pained and shocked that the leadership of the NDA government has remained silent while the situation in the country has deteriorated year after year. The alarming situation in Manipur, the over 75 deaths, and the continued silence of the Prime Minister illustrate my statement. Inflation, unemployment, inequality, and poverty knock on the door of any average family. They will tell you how their lives have been blighted by persistent inflation and acute scarcity of jobs, and how they watch while the wealth of a few thousand people grew by leaps and bounds even during the COVID-affected period and thereafter, and how there are large and visible pockets of poverty and deprivation all over the country. The growing inequality between the super rich and the poor has exposed the skewed economic policies of the NDA government. There are 169 billionaires in India today, even as 22.4 crore people, 16% of the population, are poor according to the Global Multidimensional Poverty Index. The outcome of the Karnataka elections demonstrated how wrong the Prime Minister, his government, and his party were in their assessment of the political and social situation of the state. Governance and policies in a secular, democratic country must give rise to a tide that will lift all boats. In that view, the NDA government has totally failed in the last 9 years. What is worse is that the government does not even make an effort to correct its mistakes and govern for all the people. It is our duty as an opposition party to raise these issues, and I'm happy I have the opportunity to do so in Mumbai. I'm ready to take questions.
You mentioned about this 2000 crore. So I have two questions regarding first is, after given a briefing about that 2000 crore. So as an opposition, do you agree with the RBI's reasoning, and if not, what is your opposition stand on this? And secondly, it has mentioned that it has cast doubt on the integrity and stability of India's currency. So how do you see global ramifications of this?
We totally disagree with the RBI's explanation. RBI gave two reasons. The first reason was it was necessary to introduce the 2,000 rupee note to meet the immediate requirements of the people. But within 15 days or 30 days of the 2,000 rupee note, nobody was using the 2,000 rupee note. No shopkeeper was accepting it. No service provider was accepting it. And in fact, if the bank cashier gave you 2,000 rupee note, most people returned it and said, no, I don't want the 2,000 rupee note, give me 100 rupee notes. So the people did not want 2,000 rupee note, which is why 50% of the 2,000 rupee notes remains in the vaults of the bank. It didn't even come to the people. People did not accept it. The second reason is even more amusing. The second reason is the shelf life of a 2,000 rupee note is 4 to 5 years. If a 2,000 rupee note, which does not change hands more than once a day, if the shelf life is 5 years, what is the shelf life of a 100 rupee note? What is the shelf life of a 50 rupee note? What is the shelf life of a 20 rupee note, which changes hands 100 times a day? So what do? Old notes are taken back and new notes. Why do you withdraw it? It is a complete failure. It was a foolish move. And why I say the integrity of the currency system is in question is, tell me any other country which has introduced a 2,000 rupee note or a $2,000 note or a 2,000 pound note and withdrawn it. Which country has demonetized in the last 50 years? Which country has issued currencies and taken it back? As far as I know, in America, the $100 note has been there for 100 years. The British pound, 50 pound, has been there for over 100 years. So every reason given by the RBI is a foolish reason, because they don't want to admit that the original decision to introduce the 2,000 rupee note was a foolish decision. Yeah, go ahead. We'll come back to you. We'll come back to you.
She's again talking about 5 million economic values. So do you think is it physically, especially when unemployment?
Unemployment today, All India rate today is 7.45%. Urban rate is higher. Urban rate is closer to 8%. In the age group 18 to 34, the unemployment rate is 25%. Now all this is data collected in the cities and towns. But if you go deeper into India, into the hinterland, into the remote villages, the unemployment is higher. Because there is no other employment except agriculture. And if agriculture does not throw up jobs, agriculture does not give you a job 12 months a year. When there is no agriculture work, everybody in the village is unemployed. Therefore, this government has no plan to tackle unemployment. They promised, remember, 2 crore jobs a day. And at one point the Prime Minister said even pakora flying is a job. So from 2 crore jobs he came down to pakora making. This government has no plan to tackle unemployment, and it has failed, and it will continue to fail in the 10th year.
Right.
See, it's a serious issue. A serious issue, the most serious issue in this country is a security issue posed by China. But believe me, for 3 years, we have not been allowed to debate it in Parliament. The 1962 war was debated in Parliament. The 1965 war was debated in Parliament. The 1971 war was debated in Parliament. This is the first security threat which has not been debated in Parliament, because the government does not allow a debate at all. The worst thing happened was when the Prime Minister made a statement on June 19, 2020. I will quote the statement. There are no foreign troops in Indian territory, and no part of Indian territory is occupied by foreign troops. Every day newspapers publish satellite pictures. Chinese are on our side and on their side. They are building fortifications. They are building helipads, airports, settlements, barracks. They are amassing troops. And our patrols, there was a paper presented in a conference in Delhi about 3 months ago. A senior police officer presented a paper which was on the website of the Government of India, but it was pulled out the next day. What did the paper say? That we are no longer patrolling 16 to 20 areas which were used to be petroleum. It's a serious issue. Remember, Prime Minister does not even utter the word China. He doesn't even mention the word China. And look at the earlier statements of Prime Minister and the earlier statements of Mr. Jaishankar. Mr. Jaishankar talks about disengagement and withdrawal. But if the Prime Minister is right that no Chinese troops are in Indian territory, what is the disengagement and withdrawal? What are you withdrawing from? There are no Chinese troops according to the Prime Minister. So let the Prime Minister and the External Affairs Minister first have a public conversation on television. It is a serious issue. We are extremely unhappy that Parliament has not debated the security situation in 3 years.
So even in that case, Congress says that it should be taken to the people. So even if it is the most biggest issue in the country.
See, we must debate it in Parliament first. That is the place to debate it. We can't debate security issues in street corner meetings. We can eventually take it at the election time. But we must debate it in Parliament. There must be 4 hours, 5 hours, 6 hours of debate. Every party must be allowed to ask questions and the government must answer.
But you are not allowed to.
We are not allowed to. That is the problem, which is why I am raising this today. Of the top 5 issues in my view, security is one of the 5 issues. Yes, please, please.
9 years. You are having so many issues. He is not bothered going Chidambaram. He is not bothered going Chidambaram. So what is your new strategy? He is not attending Parliament. You are willing to get out this ministry. You will be printed in all newspapers tomorrow. That is your power. But he is not taking your cognizance. What is your strategy? How you will take on money?
So the Prime Minister has scant respect for Parliament. He does not intervene in any... What do you want us to
stand there?
The only thing we can do is to take it to the people. Raise the issue before the people and at the election time ask them to vote. That is all we can do. I can do another thing. In a lighter vein, I can recruit you as our strategic advisor. In a democracy, the opposition can only raise... In a democracy, the opposition can only raise its voice. Now, people thought in Karnataka, the BJP government cannot be defeated. We raised our voice. Both Shidambaram, who is now Chief Minister, and D.K. Shivkumar, who is now Deputy Chief Minister, raised their voice. They've been raising their voice for the last 1.5 years. Eventually, the people listen. I agree with you entirely. The people did not listen to us in 2019. But we are hoping that if we continue to raise our voice, people will listen to us in 2024. That's the only way to bring about change in a democracy. There's no other way.
What do you feel about...
Just a minute. Let's give a round and then we'll come back. No problem. Yes.
In your opening statement, you made a remark on the role of governors in the attack on the federal structure. We have seen a Supreme Court judgment wherein in Delhi versus the LG, there was a Supreme Court clear judgment. And on the other side, now the government has issued an ordinance contradicting the same. So, sir, a clear stand of Congress party, whether it will be in for against the ordinance, supporting Mr. Kejriwal or the other way around.
See, that is a question I cannot answer. That is a question which the Congress leadership has to answer. It is not a question of supporting Kejriwal or not supporting Kejriwal. Irrespective of who is the Chief Minister of Delhi, who is the Home Minister of India, irrespective of that. The question I'm raising is it correct given Article 239AA, is it correct that despite 2 judgments of the Supreme Court, the power should be in the LG's hands? Supreme Court in both judgments, 2018 and 2023, said in all subjects except 3 subjects, the power is with the Council of Ministers. Despite the 2 judgments, they have now put power in the hands of the LG. Whether it is legal or not, I have a view, and the matter will go to the Supreme Court. On this issue, I am very clear that the ordinance is wrong, the ordinance is bad. But whether actually what stand the Congress party will take when the ordinance comes up in Parliament, I cannot answer. It's only Mr. Kharge and the leadership can answer.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, finished? Ah, yes.
सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने अपने जजमेंट में ही कहा है कि इस तरह का ऑर्डिनेंस सरकार ला सकती है। अगर उनको लगता है कि ये फैसला ठीक नहीं है तो ऑर्डिनेंस लाकर कानून बना सकती है। तो फिर आप कह रहे हैं कि ये ऑर्डिनेंस गलत है, तो किस आधार पर आता है?
See, I don't want to get into legal intricacies because many people will not understand it, and I am not the last word. Please remember, Article 239AA is a part of the Constitution. What they have amended is the GNCT Act. You can amend the Act and it may pass, may not pass. But whether an Act can take away what Article 239AA, the answer is no. So if the Supreme Court holds that despite the ordinance, it is still contrary to Article 239AA, it will be struck down. But I can't say that now until the case goes to the Supreme Court. This is my view.
Sir,
Yes.
आपने अपने ओपनिंग स्टेटमेंट में भी बताया है कि किस तरह से कर्नाटक इलेक्शन में बीजेपी को नुकसान हुआ। तो क्या आपको लगता है कि कर्नाटक का जो मॉडल है वो पूरे देश में सिर्फ एक राज्य के परिणाम के आने के बाद में आप उसका फैसला बता रहे हैं या फिर इसके पीछे की कोई और वजह हो सकती है?
What's the last point you said? I've understood. You see, each state election is different. It depends upon the state, its economy, its people, the composition of the population. Each state is different. Maharashtra is different from Karnataka. Here the situation is dynamically different. Here 3 opposition parties have formed an MVA. In Karnataka, we were fighting alone, Congress party alone. So the situation is very different. I can tell you what will happen in Tamil Nadu. Because we have a very different alliance there headed by a regional party. Therefore, there is no such thing as a Karnataka model. But where the Congress party is the biggest party and is the fighting an election practically all alone with some support, I think the Karnataka example is a good example. We can repeat the Karnataka model of election in Madhya Pradesh, in Rajasthan, in Chhattisgarh, where we are the biggest opposition party to the BJP and we are strong enough to fight on our own with support of the local party. So the Karnataka model can indeed be followed, in my view, in Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh and Chhattisgarh and some other states.
लोकसभा इलेक्शन को लेकर क्या स्ट्रेटजी है, क्या कांग्रेस हटेगी या वहाँ भी जैसे एमपी महाराष्ट्र में है वहाँ भी?
I can't speak about the Lok Sabha strategy, but I can tell you that the party line so far is all the non-BJP opposition must get together as far as possible. In my view, if the non-BJP opposition parties get together, it is possible that in 450 seats, we can field one common candidate against the BJP. But that is a desire, that is an aspiration. But the parties are meeting in Patna on June 12. It is work in progress. It will happen, but it will take some time. You had Indian Express, you had another question?
Yes, I had a question about the global ramifications of, you said that if you cast doubt on the integrity and strategy of India's currency,
Yes.
so what will be the global ramifications?
See, there won't be any global ramification, but people will ask questions about, is your currency stable? Is your currency system stable? You are introducing a note, you are demonetizing it. Look at what has happened. They demonetized the 500 rupee note. Then they reintroduced it in 3 months. You introduce a 2000 rupee note. You take it back after 6 years because people don't want it. I am telling you, I won't be surprised if they reintroduce the 1000 rupee note. Now this kind of flip-flop, this kind of somersault casts a grave doubt about your currency management. I gave you examples. The $100 note in America and a £50 note in Britain have been there for 100 years. You must have a stable note. I'm coming to. Yes. Yes. You ask and then you ask. Yes.
Sir, I have a question. Since you're saying the ruling government is not allowing any talks in our parliament, but there have been many instances where the opposition is running for the parliament, running away from the discussions.
Which discussion?
There have been various.
No, give me one example. I am sitting in parliament. I have never heard a debate where they want a debate and we are running away.
There have been some instances where the oppositions are opposing all of the discussions. And
Which item? Which matter?
and the recent event was the new inauguration of the parliament. So do you think it is a good move or good strategy to work out any of the discussions?
See, to the best of my knowledge, you may have example, you correct me, I will accept my mistake. I have never come across in the last several years a discussion which the government wanted and we ran away. I am sitting in parliament. I have never come across a discussion which they wanted a discussion and we are saying no, we won't have a discussion. We are every day asking for a discussion. See, there is a rule in Rajya Sabha called Rule 267. There is a similar rule in the Lok Sabha. Every morning we are giving notice under 267 for a discussion on a matter of urgent public importance. Every notice has been rejected. So which discussion are we run away from? You please tell the Prime Minister to start a discussion next time and you can have my assurance we will be there and we will discuss it. I'll answer. This is a decision. We are not disrespecting Parliament. Actually, we have great respect for Parliament. We participate in debates. We ask questions. We issue notices for discussion. But what is happening, what happened yesterday was inaugurating the new Parliament House. It's not the beginning of Parliament. It is the inauguration of a building of Parliament. Article 79 says, Parliament shall consist of the President and 2 houses of Parliament by name, Council of States and House of the People. It starts by saying Parliament shall consist of the President. So the President is part of Parliament. Why is the President not invited? I mean, there's been no answer to this question. If Article 79 says Parliament shall consist of the President and 2 houses. If the members of the 2 houses are invited, why is the President not invited? That is the objection on which 20 opposition parties boycotted the inauguration. We are not happy about the boycott, but we are forced to boycott because the president was not invited in the light of the language of Article 79.
Sir, you raised an important point when it comes to, Prime Minister has maintained silence on many number of issues. One is now more than 75 that Manipur is burning. And also we have seen yesterday on one side Parliament was inaugurated and in the evening our wrestlers who have won Olympic medals were crushed by the Delhi police. I mean, such kind of law and order deteriorating, how is Congress reacting to that and any steps forward in this regards?
No, we have reacted. I tweeted yesterday. It's very sad and shocking that 75 people have been killed in Manipur clashes and the Prime Minister has not made a statement. The Prime Minister was busy campaigning in Karnataka. The Prime Minister was visiting Japan and Australia, but he could not go to Manipur. And the Home Minister is going to Manipur. 75 people have been killed in clashes. And this morning we read the statement, 40 militants have been killed by the security forces. Now this is a grave crisis in Manipur. Should not the Home Minister have rushed to Manipur? Should not the Prime Minister made a visit to the capital and met with the political party leaders? Even today, the Prime Minister has not made a single statement. It is shocking. We are raising this issue. Parties have raised the issue. I have raised the issue.
On the wrestlers.
Wrestlers is even equally shocking. 30 days they are struggling. No minister goes and meets them. No minister invites them for talks. What are they asking? They are asking that there are serious allegations against one person. I don't know whether it's right or wrong. I can't decide. Every man is presumed innocent until proved guilty. They have made allegations. They had to go to court. Court directed FIR to be registered. After that, the police registered 2 FIRs. But nobody has been arrested. That is their complaint. All right, send a minister, send a team of ministers and talk to them to find a way out. Instead of that, you ignore them like you ignored the farmers. The government ignored the farmers. Ultimately, it had to withdraw the farm bills. And when the wrestlers win medals, ministers go to the airport to receive them with garlands. So this is shocking. For the sake of one MP, he may be right, he may be wrong. I'm not commenting on that. But for the sake of one MP, why are you allowing our medal-winning wrestlers to go on dharna for 30 days? And why are you using such force against them, physical force? In fact, the policemen were acting like wrestlers. It's sad and shocking.
Okay.
Yes.
How the opposition can unite? Are you hopeful? And second one.
Madam, I'm always hopeful. I'm always hopeful. It's hope which sustains life, personal life as well as public life. I think the opposition is, as every day passes, is beginning to realize more and more that it is absolutely necessary to unite and put up a united opposition to the BJP. I hope this trend will continue.
We'd like to know about comments on how everything is going ahead in Maoist territory of it.
See, in Maoist territory, even under the UPA, we had brought it under control. Virtually half of the area dominated by Maoists had been cleared up of the Maoists. This government has continued that strategy, and the Maoist influence is much less than what it was, say, 10, 15 years ago. Even Gadicharoli, for example. The kind of sway which the Maoists had when I was Home Minister slowly came down, and today they are there in pockets of Gadicharoli, but not the entire district of Gadicharoli. So I think we have gained an upper hand against the Maoists, both under the UPA and under the NDA. I'm not denying that. But I can't say the same thing about the Northeast. What I read about Manipur and what I hear about Manipur is make me very worried, very worried. No, the value of the currency will decrease only if because of inflation. Inflation is a separate subject. What I'm saying is, a currency must be stable. You cannot issue a currency, take it back, demonetize, remonetize. We were learning a new word, demonetization. Then we were asked to learn a new word, remonetization. What is all this? Where has it happened in any major country? Has it happened in any of the major economies of the world? We call ourselves the fourth largest economy of the world. But the fourth largest economy will issue currency, take back currency, demonetize currency, remonetize currency, issue a currency note, take it back. What is all this going on? This is not the way to manage currency. No, this has no impact on the value of the rupee. Inflation will have an impact on the value of the rupee.
So many problems in this government. Do you think it is the lack of talent in the cabinet minister that has kept India back for the last 9 years, or it is just the one man who is controlling all of them?
Who am I to say about the lack of talent? I don't even know who the many ministers are. There's only one person. Well, you can say two persons, that's why. How do I say about the talent in the government? Nobody has any power, nobody has any authority. Sometimes Mr. Gadkari from your state speaks up. But he pops up once in a month or so. But otherwise, I don't even know which minister is taking which decision.
इसके मोस्टली नागपुर आपको लगता है कि गडकरी जिस हिसाब से कहते हैं बीच में तो उस पर भी काफी चुनाव हो सकता है काम अमित शाह और मोदी का जिस तरह से काम रहा है उसको देखते हुए
What is he saying? He's talking about Gadkari has been sidelined and
I mean, at least he speaks up once a month. Yes.
what is it? He's talking about in yesterday's building inauguration. There were only Hindu priests who were
No, I believe there was a multi-faith prayer before the Prime Minister entered Parliament. I believe there was a multi-faith prayer. But personally speaking, I think the inauguration of Parliament must be a purely secular function. I'm not saying priests of all faiths have no role, but all that should have been outside Parliament. Inside Parliament, it should have been a purely constitutional, secular function. Remember 1947, August 14 midnight, Jawaharlal Nehru made his famous Tryst with Destiny speech. That is, according to me, the model of starting a parliament or inaugurating a new building. It must be secular. But anyway, it happened in one day. We don't have to make a big issue about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. I thought you were coming as a strategic advisor. Okay. Yes.
What's happening in Maharashtra Congress?
Listen, Maharashtra, I've been speaking to my friends, MVA, there will always be a little wrinkle here, little problem there. We are also part of a coalition in Tamil Nadu. But believe me, MVA will fight the next elections unitedly. And what I gather from Maharashtra, MVA will win the next assembly election and will win the majority of seats in the Lok Sabha election. I'm going to come back after the election and you will sit in that chair, I will sit in that chair and we will talk about it.
Thank you. Thank you.
परसों Amazon प्राइम ऑफर में लेटेस्ट स्मार्टफोन लिया।
कल वाली प्राइम ऑफर में ब्लूटूथ स्पीकर्स मंगवाए और आज फैशन पर मस्त ऑफर्स मिल रही है। ये ड्रेस ऑर्डर कर रही हूँ।
हर दिन प्राइम ऑफर्स, फ्री 1 डे